He got all up in my face and said, "If you call home and tell my family that I skipped, I'm coming in here tomorrow and I'm going to shit on your desk."
How to survive the classroom.
Hey, teacher besties. Welcome to How to Survive the Classroom. And I'm going to preface this. I'm going to warm you up with the fact that I am probably like most of you. If you are still in school, which I hope not, because it's June and I hope you're done by now. But when I'm recording this, it's basically May. And so I'm crashing out so severely every time I get in this part of the year. And this was the same whether I taught high school or college or whatever. I get to May and it's like that scene from Madagascar to Return to Africa, where they're getting ready to land the plane. And everything so far has like gone along kind of swimmingly. And then there's that moment where the penguins are like coming down to land. And he's like, you gotta kiss it. You gotta kiss it like you're kissing your sister. And then they slam into the ground and everything disintegrates and falls apart. That's kind of the energy I'm bringing into today. So just as a fair warning that's where we're at. I recently was sent a clipping of one of my producer's plants. I forget what it's called. There's like a special word when you take a clipping and you try and grow it and like fern gully it back to life. And sadly, if you remember what happens at the end of Fern Gully, where like those evil industrialists run it all over and there's like a green black goo that consumes the lives of all of the plants and the happy fairies. That's essentially what I have done to this plant, I think. Sadly, I feel so bad about it. I should have said no when he was like, "Do you want me to send you some of my baby plant?" And I should have been like, "I cannot be trusted." And he sent it, and I did pot it, and it did grow for a little bit. And then I put it up in my office so I could look at it. And then I forgot it was there. And it may, in fact, be a dried husk at this point. But who's to say? Because it's not right in front of me. It might still be alive. And I might be able to bring it back to life, potentially. Speaking of things that need to be brought back to life. So I am living in the great state of Indiana. And I don't know if this has been the case for everywhere that my listeners live, but y'all, I would actually love to hear some of the new policies that are getting pushed out. I'm like such a nerd when it comes to stuff like that. Like I told you guys about how I did like a principal comedy show, and the beginning part of that was essentially the principal association representative going through all of the policies that are coming through in the state of Indiana, as a warm up to my comedy bit. And so they went over some of the things. And one of the things that kind of blew my mind is that the state of Indiana is pushing really hard to reduce like property tax, right? They're like, we're going to like reduce property taxes and you're welcome by like $200. And that's a year. Okay. We're not talking about like per month. We're not talking like it's per year, $200 like per year that they're trying to reduce it. And of course, when you present it as like lower taxes, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, yes, I love that idea." Meanwhile, Indiana's like an older state, right? Like these school buildings, a lot of them were built like one of the middle schools that I'm constantly at was built in the early 1900s, right? Like I think 1911 was when that building was built. So these are older buildings that require upkeep and maintenance and money to let them run. And so while I'm hearing about all of this getting pushed through, I then have a teacher friend who works in this district, and she messages me last night and she's like, "Hey, did you know I teach at such and such elementary school? The water is going to be shut off tomorrow because there's problems with the pipes. And so they told us they are going to be filling buckets and bringing the buckets to school, and that we as the teachers should, quote, discourage the kids from going to the bathroom because we're low on water." And I was like, what? 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 And so I Googled it, right? And I talked to Daddy ChatGPT about it. And I was like, is this illegal? And ChatGPT was like, a little bit. Like, it's probably a health code violation because you're supposed to have potable water and like hand washing stations available. So I guess technically, if those buckets are potable hand washing potential stations, then maybe. And I also, because I've lived here long enough, I know one of the school board members and messaged her, and I know they discussed it, and they said there was enough water today. I don't know if that means from the pipes. I don't know if that means from the buckets, but that's what I was told. And so it's this really frustrating thing to be in this kind of area where you fully understand the implications of some of these things, like removing $200 per household from the school district. Like, for those households, $200 is going to be great, but are you going to notice that split amongst 12 months in a way that's going to be really meaningful to you? Like, what would that be, less than $20 a month? Like, you're telling me that that would be enough for your kids to probably not have appropriate resources or much bigger class size. And the thing is like, they're not going to see it immediately. They're going to be really angry in a couple of months or in a couple of years when, hey, why is there 40 kids in my kid's class? Why can't I get a hold of the teacher? Why are our teachers not licensed? And all of these other things. And it's like, I hope you enjoyed your Starbucks that you had once a month, because essentially that's what you ended up buying instead of resources for the classrooms. And that is, I think, one of the more frustrating things to be, in these higher ed situations where I'm now like Dr. Andrea Forkham, and you would think that would buy some kind of influence over anything, but I fear that even at this level, everyone's just like shaking their heads and like, like I don't know what we're doing. And so I think that the biggest thing that we can all do is what we've been doing, right? And actually something that I did here at that principal meeting is that we are going to keep working really hard to try and do what's right by the kids every single day, because that's what we do as educators and administrators and all that, is that we keep working hard and we get loud when we need to. So I am in fact looking at opportunities to see how I can like show up and talk to the legislature. When I talked to okay, I have to tell you guys this because maybe you didn't know, because I didn't know. I asked her, I was like, so how do you get in to talk to your legislature? Like, what is that process? And in the state of Indiana, it's first come, first serve. First thing in the morning, you sign up and they will give you 3 minutes. Did you guys know that? I did not know that. And she also pointed out, she's like, listen, like if you come in hot, people are going to immediately ignore you, shut you down, all of that kind of stuff. She's like, but if you can do it in a way where you're like educating them about things that maybe they hadn't considered, that is a much better way. So if you guys just want to show up to your legislature and just be like, hey, boo, we got to talk, you can do it for 3 minutes. So I found that out. So I'm sharing that with you. Also, we had looked at where the lottery money actually goes, because that was a big chat. Like we chatted about, like, we know, at least in California, which is where I grew up and where my producers are, in California, they really push like how much money it goes to the school system in the state of California for the lottery. And I was curious about that. So we did do a little Googling. And what we found is yes. And I will say, in I guess, fairness to the California lottery, at least, they have very specific accounting of how much money goes to which schools every single year, what percentage goes to what distributions, all of that. And you can even look by county and find out how much money has been given in the last fiscal year versus future fiscal years. So I was very interested by that. Of course, they are not telling us how much money they're profiting. They're not telling us any of that kind of stuff. And I don't think anywhere it says specifically like all of the profits go to schools. I would find that very difficult to believe because obviously the lottery makes a lot of money. But I did see that they do cut it down by percentages, and then they'll tell you like dollar amount as well, which again, I found fascinating. So 80%, almost 79.9% goes to K-12 schools. And then 14% goes to community colleges, and then 3.7 to CSU schools, and then 2.3 to UC schools, and then 0.1 to other educational entities, which I feel like is just them being like, who's to say where that 0.1 goes? But you can actually you can look and see quarterly reports on where it went and how it was given to specific schools. It will not tell you what those specific school districts did because the schools are completely in charge of that. So the money comes from the lottery and it goes directly to those schools. And then the schools are able to use their discretion as needed to spend that money how they want. So that is one of those interesting things where it's like, I am so curious because I'm sure that each school district has to have some sort of like financial report that they report what they're doing with all of this money. But I mean, even me in my position and all of the stuff I have to do with education, I don't think I've ever actually looked at a school district's financial report to see where all of the money is going. Um, so I'm just trying to stir the pot and make you guys show up to your legislature and have you guys start fights. Good fights, growing fights, fights that make the school system so much better. I also one more thing, and then we're gonna listen to some fan stories. Um, I tomorrow night am gonna be doing a 20-minute stand-up set on Zoom. And I don't know if you guys know, but like Zoom comedy sets are like amongst comedians, that is considered one of the hardest things to do because comedians like we kind of feed off the crowd. We know we're doing well because we can see the responses of the audience and all of that. And so it's considered to be very challenging to do a stand-up comedy Zoom. And I've talked to comedians about it and they're like, yeah, like it's so hard because you're just like staring at yourself, talking, hoping that the other side is getting it, but you don't really know if they're getting it. And I'm like, uh, you mean all of 2020 and 2021? The only difference here is I'm not breastfeeding off camera. Like, this sounds great. My toddler's not asking me for goldfish at the same time that I'm trying to engage potentially 30 students, potentially none because they don't have their cameras on. Like, that's hard for you. That's adorable, right? So I'm actually really excited about that because it cannot, like, that no one is going to be there under criminal duress, which is what it was over COVID, where like if you didn't show up to Zoom, your parents could get in trouble because you were missing class. So, yeah, I feel like ultimately doing comedy, and I mean, I don't know, maybe some of the teachers are there under duress because maybe it was like a mandatory PD, but who's to say? I don't know. I'm probably not going to see their faces because teachers are as bad as students and they're probably not going to turn on their cameras. So we'll see. I'll let you guys know how that one goes. But oh, I also have a show coming. If you were listening to this when this episode first comes out, I have a show coming on in San Diego, June 7th at Mic Drop in San Diego. So please come see me. Come hang out. I'll have all sorts of stories. It will be so much fun. And I have lots of other dates to announce for the Teachers Lounge, but we're going to do that at the end of the episode. So stick around for that. Or if you wanted to take a peek, you go to teachersloungelive.com. That would be fine too. So, all right, let's listen to the first story sent in by you guys.
I don't know how crazy it is compared to others, but in my first year of teaching, I had a student skip a class. So I marked him absent as one does. And at the end of the day, he came storming into my room with a friend, just absolutely enraged at me. And they started throwing food at my wall. I specifically remember them throwing Pop-Tarts at my wall. And I was sitting at my desk and he got all up in my face and said, if you call home and tell my family that I skipped, I'm coming in here tomorrow and I'm going to shit on your desk. And it was my first year of teaching. I was so stunned. I thought it was such an insane thing to say to a teacher. I didn't know what to do in that moment. But thankfully, the kids stormed out and left. So I went to find an administrator, and it was the end of the day, none to be found. But I did find a counselor who was very involved in discipline issues. So I explained the situation to her. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. What did you do? And I said, I came to find you. And she kind of looked at me like, what do you want me to do about it? So that wasn't any help. And I put in like a behavior referral in our system and nothing was ever done. But the kid acted like we were best friends the next day. So yeah, fun times.
I feel like you buried the lead. I need to know if his threat worked. Like, did you call home or No, because if you didn't call home, that's absolutely why he acted like you guys were best friends the next day, because he's like, I got her. I got her. I've been, I don't think I've ever had a threat that someone was going to defecate on my desk. That would be a new one for me, not something I ever had to actually deal with. I do feel like I had students that would like kind of murmur stuff under their breath, but they wouldn't usually like actually like kind of buck up, especially because and in that situation too, you couldn't have diffused it because he came in hot, like mad that you had, I guess, snitched, like done attendance appropriately. Like that's such a hard situation. Also, throwing Pop-Tarts at a wall is so wasteful. If you're going to throw something at a wall, I feel like it needs to be something that is less delicious. Pop-Tarts are legitimately so tasty. Unless they were like the unfrosted Pop-Tarts, which are crimes against humanity. So maybe I could see that, which like you marked him absent and then maybe he went to go get some snacks and all that was left was unfrosted Pop-Tarts. I could see crashing out over that. But to be fair, as I said at the beginning of this episode, it's not a huge stretch for me to get from where I am right now to crashing out. So it makes sense that I would like try and justify somebody throwing food at a wall and threatening to poop on your desk. But I do want to know if you actually called home because I want to know if you did you have to say he threatened to, and I quote, shit on my desk? Like that is a wild phone conversation and I love that you had to write that in a referral. There were several times where I would write a referral and then I would just kind of look at it and be like this is insane. And I would like take a picture and like usually send it to my friends and just be like, can you believe that I had to write this referral today? And I would also love to hear the wildest referrals that you guys have had to write because I'm sure there are some doozies. I never really got in trouble for really insane things like that. I did have a friend who stole the popcorn maker that they would bring for like school events and all that. And he hid it in the boys' bathroom and he popped popcorn at lunch and then was selling the popcorn out of the bathroom. And he got in trouble for it and sent home. And again, I'm just wondering, like, writing out the referral, how dumb would you feel being the teacher that's like, student sold popcorn out of the boys' bathroom? Like, that is the wildest things that we have to write with an absolute straight face and sometimes have to tell parents with an absolute straight face, like, hey, your child is in trouble because he was doing an illegal popcorn sales operation out of the restrooms. Like, insane job. All right, let's listen to the next story that was sent in.
My first 2 years of teaching were a wild ride. So I had a sweet young lady, I thought, named Victoria in my classroom, and she sat at the back of the class. I think I had her for 2 years. And then one day, Victoria came to school with a black eye. So, as a polite, concerned adult, I went up to her and I said, Victoria, like, what happened to you? And her her answer was not what I expected. So she said to me, said to me, expecting that she got beat up or something or into a fight, somewhat. She said, "I," and this is for verbatim, "I some girl's guy and she beat me up." So that left my my jaw ajar. I was completely shocked because this girl seemed so sweet, and for her to point blank say, um, "Yeah, some girl's guy." I can't. This is over a decade ago, but first 2 years of teaching, and that was probably the second most shocking thing a student has said to me. But I think that's as bad as it gets to me, honestly.
Awesome. Yes, Andrea is how you pronounce my name, but I don't get mad if somebody calls me Andrea or Andrea. The Andreas do tend to get mad if you call them an Andrea, but the Andreas usually don't care either way. I don't know what that's about. I think that this is such a good example because parents and people on the internet in general, right? When I talk about some of the things that students share, especially with like secondary teachers and all of that kind of stuff, they a lot of times have the impression that like we are doing something outrageous to get this information from these kids, that we are like waterboarding information out of them about their sex lives, which, ew, like, the amount of times that I have accidentally overheard because I am just existing in my own classroom, or I have done something like that where I'm asking an innocent question, just like, hey, oh my gosh, is your eye okay? And then they come out with something like that is it's just deeply horrifying because I'm sure that in that moment you're just like, I regret asking. Like, didn't she could have just been like, "Nah, man, I got in a fight." But like for a lot of these kids too, like they see that like you are trying to genuinely like care about them and connect with them. And so that creates like this kind of relationship where it's like, "Oh, they care about me." So I can just tell them the whole story because their home life relationships and stuff like that maybe are a lot more casual than what I would maybe share or somebody else would maybe share with their adults in their life. Man, the things that these kids will share with us are absolutely insane. And sometimes out of nowhere. One of my most viral videos that I have out there is the video where I talk about how I have a student who made a joke about his dad hanging himself. And it's so horrifying. Like, I never share the joke, I just reference it real quick. It's at the very beginning of my video. Um, and like, in the context of how that actually happened was I had like that student who I'm still in contact with, by the way. He sends me messages and updates me pretty often. And we were just hanging out in the morning. I was getting ready for my day, prepping. I would always open my classroom 25 minutes before the first bell. So he had been in my class previous years, so he would always come in, eat like the school breakfast on one of my desks, and we would be chatting, and then a couple other kids. You'd have like that morning group, right? Which is also, by the way, one of the things I miss most about teaching high school is having a morning group. And so they would just kind of hang out and they'd be vibing and stuff. And sometimes I'd be a part of the conversation. Sometimes they forgot I was there. And it was always when they forgot I was there that they would say some of the absolute wildest things. And it wasn't always about their own lives, it would be things about other kids that I taught that they didn't realize that I taught. And so they would be like, oh, yeah, like, and then Kimmy got jumped after school. And I'd be like, Kimberly Williams or whoever, right? That's a made up name. I don't think I ever taught a Kimberly Williams. I'd be like them and they'd all look at me like, oh, I forgot you were literally there right now. Or, oh no, now we've snitched. And they would accidentally snitch on their friends sometimes. And, as a mandated reporter, like depending on the situation, I might, send a little message to a parent, send a little message to, a guidance counselor like the first caller did, like, because that is usually what we do is like, if we don't either know whether the admin is actually going to take us seriously, or if we know that the admin wants us to go first to the counselors, because that's the case sometimes, then we will reach out to the counselors. And some of the kids are frequent flyers. And so meaning that like they maybe have spent a lot of times with those counselors and so they have a really good relationship set up with that counselor. And I always would prefer to have like if it's something that like they're making bad life choices but no crimes are being committed. I usually would be like, hey, send it to the counselor, ask the counselors there if there's anything I need to know, because to me that was always a huge huge piece that I needed. Like I would have, oh my gosh, there were so many times where I'd be really frustrated with the behavior of a student. And then I would talk to the counselor and be like, hey, like I can't connect with this kid. I don't know what is going on. Can you tell me like anything I need to know about this kid's life? And then all of a sudden they would be like, oh, yeah. So, and then they would give me this insane backstory. And I'm like, that would have been good to know. But because of privacy stuff, a lot of times you can't like just send a mass email and be like, hey, here's the trauma history of student B. And so you have to kind of like seek it out. And there were several times that I had students that I was like found out that their parents had passed away, that they were living in cars, that they were living in a hotel, that they were recently placed in a foster home, that their parents were going through a really ugly divorce, like so many times that was the case. And, it's that whole saying that like behavior is communication. And that's also been weaponized by a lot of, well, I honestly think well-meaning administrators who are trying to help equip teachers that sometimes are instead making teachers feel like they're not doing enough, because they'll be like, well, behaviors communication, did you build a relationship first? And sometimes kids come in throwing Pop-Tarts at the wall, or you just say, hey, how'd you get a black eye? And they pop off with their sexual history, right? And so that, like, those are the things that, like, I think it's hard for admin to remember that that's how quickly that stuff happens, right? Is that, like, why were you talking to that child about their sex life? Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was not. Like, that was not that was not how that happened at all. Like, I was just existing and asking them how they got a black eye, and that's what came out of their mouth, right? And I think that that's something that is really hard for people who aren't in the classroom every day to kind of keep in mind, because whew, it can be a ride. On that note, I am going to give you guys a really cool resource. So stick around. Oh, and I'm going to tell you about all of the fun Teachers Lounge shows that we have coming up. So we will be right back. All right, teacher besties. So I'm going to share a resource with you, and I'm half sharing it to warn you about it and half sharing it with you to maybe point it to something maybe you could use, and I feel like this is the way I view a lot of AI. If you're a human that is like, I hate AI, I get it. This resource is just not for you. I am still of the mind that I'm undecided on like the ethics and how to handle it and all of that. But if there's a resource out there, I guarantee you your students know about it. And so I want you to be aware of it. Um, so I love Canva so much. Like, I use it for all of the different t-shirt designs. I use it for, like, if I am stuck and need to find a template for something, I go to Canva. The resource I'm sharing with you is a resource on Canva. It's not Canva itself. Hopefully you guys are aware of Canva. They do have an education part of their site that has like blank templates, lesson planning templates, subplan templates, a lot of stuff like that. So if you've never played with Canva or looked at Canva, I highly recommend you do that. They do have a free educator account. So I would also encourage you to do that. I think they also have a free student account. And I just read, like, this morning, that the owner of Canva, or the business, I don't know if I think she's the founder, is one of the most successful female-owned startups, or Canva is one of the most successful female-owned startups. It's worth like $38 billion or something like that, which is wild. Especially because I have a paid version now that I'm not a K-12 teacher. But we're talking like $140 a year for access to all that stuff. This is not an ad, by the way. They're not paying me for this. They should be, but they're not. But I honestly just am really enthusiastic about finding free resources for teachers. And so I have the paid version, but they do have a free version for teachers. And even I know they did have a learning management system that was like trying to compete with Google Classroom and Canvas and all of that, but I didn't love it. So that's the other caveat. It does have really, really cool graphics and stuff like that. For slideshows, not as much in love with their slideshow format because the videos don't always play super well. But if you are looking for really cute templates, they do have a lot of really cute templates. So just putting that out there. And for one pagers, if you're doing that in your classroom, fantastic. But the new thing that they just started is called Magic Write Online AI Text Generator. And when I read that title, I immediately got a stomachache because I was like, no, we don't need another way for students to not write their own papers. And I think that all of us as educators, we're trying to figure out how we can use AI and train students to use AI in a way that does not cripple creativity, in a way that does not cripple critical thinking. And so I want us to be looking at these tools in that lens, that, like, okay, we know that our students have access to AI. When I would do writing assignments in my classroom, even like a couple of years ago when AI was less prolific, it was on paper and pen. Even though we were one-to-one school, everyone had a Chromebook. First drafts were on paper on pen, and phones were put away, Chromebooks were put away, because it was the only way that I could get them to do those first steps kind of on their own. Also, making things really personal is another way to do it. You're never going to keep every single kid from using it. But it is, it's something. And I do use AI a lot for brainstorming and for checking legality of whether or not you should send kids to school when there's no running water, like stuff like that. So, I mean, I feel like it's kind of turning into almost as useful as Google, but probably I don't know if it is more or less reliable because I don't trust necessarily everything I find first answer on either. But that's how I'm using it. Okay, so this AI text generator, it is powered by OpenAI. So it's meant to, according to them, and this is a quote from them, and this is why, as a writing teacher, this is going to make us nervous. It says it helps you get out a first draft fast. Simply start with a prompt and watch as copy, blog outlines, lists, bio captions, content ideas, brainstorms, and more appear in seconds. And that is always the thing that stresses us out. I mean, it's pretty obvious for us when kids come in with AI written stuff. Um, but, it does have a couple of things that potentially could be used for. So I do like that it can basically you could put some of your writing into this platform and it will help you format it so that it is more in your own tone. Again, as a writing teacher, terrifying because one of the reasons we can tell that kids are screwing up is because it doesn't sound like them, right? But again, that's why I'm sharing it with you guys because I highly doubt there's a whole lot of students. I don't know, maybe there's some high school student that is forced to listen to this on their way to school with their teacher mom. So sorry, kid. Don't listen to this part. So they have Magic Write for Docs that improves and analyzes the entire document, whether it's to expand a list, add examples, complete thoughts. So it kind of is turning an AI creative writing Grammarly is kind of the way I'm seeing it. The way I like to use AI for writing is for things like sitting down and having, like, I hate writing recommendation letters. I don't care how much I love the kid. I hate writing recommendation letters. And so I will put a prompt in and be like, write a recommendation letter for blah, blah, blah for this thing, and it'll create it. And then I'll be like, add in this, and it'll create it. And then boom, I'm done. So I do use it for stuff like that. I'm trying to see if okay, so they've got a thing about branding. So for businesses, like if you've got your side hustle, like all of us do, it could be helpful for that. They also do stuff for writing. So if you're a content creator, it potentially could be helpful for that. I just know as educators, it's good for us to be aware that, like, if you have a kid on Canva, it doesn't mean that they're not using AI writing stuff. They very well could be. And it's good to know and be aware of anytime that we see an AI text generator. It's more likely they're going to use ChatGPT because that's just what's out there and available and they're pretty familiar with at this point. But I'm also really, really interested for those of you guys who are teaching writing and drafting and all of that stuff, what you're doing in your classrooms. Because now that I'm, going on my second year teaching college, I make my students we have a really big writing project we do, and they have 7 deadlines, and they are very specific to the schools that they're doing their field experience at. So it'd almost be more work to tell ChatGPT to write it because everything is so specific to what they're doing with those specific kids. But I'm really curious to hear what you guys are doing in your classrooms to combat the AI stuff. Like, have you noticed it getting worse? Have you figured out strategies other than paper and pen? Because I know we have AI checkers, but they're not super great. And even AI checkers will sometimes flag Grammarly rewrites. So you know how when you're using Grammarly and it'll be like, you should change the formatting of this sentence so that it's a little bit more grammatical. Grammatical is not a word. So that it does the grammar's good. And when it does that rewrite, that can sometimes flag as AI, which is terrifying to me because I definitely used that when I was doing my dissertation. So I didn't use AI for literally anything else, but I did use Grammarly to help make my sentences do the words. So I don't know. I don't know if that would flag or not. But I would love to hear from you guys kind of what your take is on that and how you're approaching it in the classroom, because I think that we could all really, really benefit from hearing some good strategies on how to combat it and how to teach kids responsible use of this new tool, because it's not going to go away. Like it'd be lovely to be like, oh yeah, it's going to be, either cost prohibitive or it's just going to go away. Like it's not. Like it's not going to go away just like the internet didn't go away. and we had to learn how to do research on the internet instead of doing research in encyclopedias, which yes, I did. Like it's not going away. So I think that the wisest thing is to be a part of guiding how to do it in a responsible way. And I'm actually this summer, I'm hopefully going to be part of an AI working group for AI in education. They have to interview me. And I'm like, why? Why are you interviewing me? I'm obviously the perfect fit. But I'll let you guys know if they want me. They might not because it's like real adults that are doing it. And sometimes the real adults don't want to work with me, which is so weird. Can't believe that. Speaking of my work this summer, you guys. So, like I said early on in the episode, June 7th, I'm going to be at Mic Drop in San Diego. And that is the only one I'm doing on that visit because I'm visiting family. I'm originally from San Diego. We're going to be vibing, hanging out with my nieces, trying to like give them core memories so that they know that I'm the best aunt. And then August 10th, actually, hold on. Let me do this in order. August 9th, we're going to be in Tempe. Is it Tempe? Tempe, Arizona. And then on August 10th, we're going to be in Irvine. We're going to be at the Irvine Improv. That is a big old site. And last time I was there, I was watching John Christ actually perform and thinking, wow, this is so cool. Wouldn't it be fun to perform at a place like this? And now I'm going to be doing it with the Teachers Lounge, which is, again, I don't know if I've talked about it enough for you guys to be familiar, but the Teachers Lounge is Gasper Randazzo and Phil Lindsay. And we basically are on stage at the same time. It's not a traditional stand-up show. My one on June 7th is. The one with the three of us is not traditional stand-up. We're all up there together and we just bully Phil Lindsay a lot because he's a homeschool nerd and it's really fun. So it's a really, really fun show. All of the shows are 21 and up. Language warning, I guess, because Gasper's from New York, so I'm just going to blame him. He doesn't know how to talk like an elementary school teacher. So, just fair warning there. Phil has to wear earmuffs sometimes when we're telling stories. Okay. And then the next site that we're going to be at will be in Richmond, Virginia, which is only a couple hours from where I did some of my initial teaching, which is very exciting. So we're going to be at the Richmond Funny Bone September 13th. And then we are going to be at the Raleigh Improv on September 14th in Cary, North Carolina, which is very confusing that they call it the Raleigh, but it's actually in Cary. Just being sneaky. Then we're going to go to Columbus, Ohio on November 8th. And then November 9th, Pittsburgh Improv. And then October. There we go. October 24th, Houston, Texas. And then October 25th, Addison, Texas. We are so excited. We are literally so thrilled to bring the show to you guys. We had the absolute most fun ever doing our show in February. And we have been working on getting these dates for you guys at really great locations where the food is amazing and the vibes are good. And I cannot wait. You guys are going to have so much fun getting together, hanging out with us. It's really important to us that meet and greet is always included. So, if you've ever wanted to meet me or Gasper, or I guess maybe if you wanted to meet Phil, I don't know why you'd want to meet him, but he'll be there too. And you could meet all of us because we recognize, especially with educators, that your weekends are precious and financially, money is precious. And we try and keep the cost down as much as we can for the tickets and everything to make it manageable for people to come to the shows. And it is not lost on us that people are sacrificing time and money and all of that. And we really, really work very hard to put on a very fun show. So it feels like it is money well spent and time well spent because we want you to feel really excited about your job and really excited about being around other educators and bullying people who come who aren't educators and all of that stuff. It's just a really, really fun show. So I hope that you take the time, look up the dates. We're going to be announcing more dates as it gets closer. But most of the dates should pretty much be up by now because it's June. So you're going to go to teachersloungelive.com and we've got all of the links there for all of the different dates everywhere we're going to be. If there's somewhere you want us to be, then make sure that you email us as well so that we can add you to the schedule because we are still getting our dates for 2026 going, which is very exciting. So if you guys have thoughts about the resources, I've asked a lot of questions of you guys today, so I would love to hear from you. If you want to let me know, you can either send a voice memo, right? We've got that on podcasterandrew.com. You can share it in a voice memo. You can also hit us up on Instagram or TikTok @educatorandrea, or you can email me, andrea@human-content.com, or you can contact the whole Human Content podcast family at Human Content Pods. And be sure to check out the Patreon book club where we are reading the best book. I am so excited. We haven't, well, I guess by this point, we will have announced it. We're going to do the new Emily Henry one, which is a perfect summer read. So I'm very, very excited about that. I love Emily Henry's books. She is so good. So enjoy that. I'm very excited. Please join our book club. It's so fun. We do a couple of extra episodes a month. I do it with Denver. And then we also have a live where we all talk about the book together at the end of reading the book. So I think you guys are going to love it. It's going to be really, really fun. And thank you so much to those of you guys who have left reviews. I really appreciate it. It helps people find the show. It helps make it on all the lists and do all of that kind of stuff. And if you haven't yet, please do leave a review and share the podcast with somebody who you think would love it. And maybe somebody else who you think wouldn't love it. You don't know. You don't know their life. They might. Okay? Maybe they'll like it. Maybe they'll be into it. You can get the full video episodes up every single week on YouTube at Educator Andrea. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host, Andrea Forcum. Our executive producers are Andrea Forcum, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brooke. Our editor is Andrew Sims. Our engineer is Jason Portizo. Our music is by Omer Benzvi. Our recording location is the Indiana State by College of Education. To learn more about our How to Survive the Classrooms program disclaimer and ethics policy and submission, verification, and licensing terms, you can go to podcasterandrea.com. How to Survive the Classroom is a Human Content production.
How to survive the classroom.
Thank you so much for watching. Want more of How to Survive the Classroom? You can watch more episodes right now. Just click on that little box over there. You see it? And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Okay, bye.